Hi, I'm Max Anderson and a recent graduate of the doctoral program in instructional technology from Northern Illinois University. My regular job is as the Director of Instructional Design and Learning Innovation at the University of Illinois College of Medicine. I'm happy to share my doctoral study with you. For my dissertation, I did a US-based study on behavioral intention to use and actual usage behavior of educational technology among medical education faculty who teach or facilitate in inquiry-based learning activities. My years of experience working with medical students, clinical faculty, and basic sciences faculty include developing educational activities that are case-based as well as group-based. In this respect, case-based activities can be done with either the whole class or within groups. Up until much more recently, and especially with the pandemic, any technology that was used to deliver these types of activities utilized basic and ubiquitous educational technology like PowerPoint for software, laptops and projectors for hardware, and perhaps polling devices or software. My study was completed prior to the COVID pandemic, and the results reflect it. More on future plans later in this presentation. For this study, I used the term inquiry-based learning, or IBL, as an umbrella term to discuss three specific types of case-based instruction: case-based learning, or CBL, problem-based learning, or PBL, and team-based learning, or TBL. In general, IBL is a type of active learning where students receive sequenced and scaffolded information about a task or an ill-structured problem. An ill-structured problem is defined as one where there's no easily identifiable solution, and students traditionally work in groups to collaborate and come up with potential solutions. Some additional characteristics of IBL include deep engagement with materials and opportunities to work with teams and faculty facilitators to discover solutions to problems, scaffolding of information with a gradual reduction in facilitator direction, situated cognition in which instruction is based on specific realistic situations, and there's usually preparatory work for students to complete prior to the scheduled session to enable a more robust and informed discussion. In addition to the ubiquitous software and hardware I previously mentioned, there are also other educational software tools that can be used to automate many of the steps in the delivery of IBL activities, leaving the faculty facilitators to focus more of their attention on the delivery of content. However, there can be a lack of pedagogical purpose in the use of technology in IBL, activities and challenges for students, an activity to get them to be functional at all, which can disrupt their teaching and learning experiences. What we know based on previous studies is that there can be resistance from faculty to try different delivery methods because they deliver their content in the same way it has been done for years, and some don't want to change, as they feel it adds more work on their already busy plate. The existing research on barriers and buy-in for faculty regarding educational technology suggests that there may be a perception that the introduction of these tools can disrupt their academic freedoms and familiar teaching activities. There may be specific technologies, though, that can enhance the delivery of content for both students and instructors and should not necessarily be ignored. Valid concerns, such as the availability of support mechanisms and how faculty might be influenced by their peers, should be considered. We also know that technology use can reduce paper waste. For example, traditional delivery of TBLs include the use of paper scantrons, pencils, and packets or folders with case-based information. There's a growing number of technology solutions that are appearing on the market to convert traditional delivery of IBL, TBL, etc. to an online format. There's also a lack of empirical studies on faculty perspectives of using technology for IBL. However, there are many more studies that focus on student perspectives. The data collected for this study can be used to identify influencing characteristics and determine ways to support faculty more effectively. What are their beliefs and attitudes about the integration of technology in IBL activities? What are their intentions to do it or not? Can we use this information to provide better and more appropriate interventions? So in response to a gap in literature on this topic that I discovered, the purpose of this quantitative study was to explore medical school faculty members' behavioral intention to use and actual usage behavior of educational technology to deliver IBL activities. In addition, the study aimed to assess the moderating effects of demographic characteristics such as age, gender, experience, and voluntariness of use on attitudes toward behavioral intention and actual usage behavior regarding technology use in IBL activities. For a little background, this chart shows the number of medical schools and the instructional formats they used for the 2017-2018 academic year. This data is collected every year by the American Association of Medical Colleges, AAMC, and this is the most recent data they have shared with the public on their website based on data they collect from medical schools. These charts show that there are many medical schools that are going through significant curricular changes, which could be argued is potentially the perfect time to introduce alternative delivery mechanisms. The chart on the right shows the number of medical schools that increased their use of team-based learning specifically for the 2017-2018 academic year. Even with this, case-based learning is the most popular type of IBL activity used in medical schools in the United States. It should also be noted that many schools use more than one IBL delivery type, so there is some overlap. This shows the theoretical framework for the Unified Theory of Acceptance and Use of Technology, or UTAUT, developed by Venkatesh, Morris, Davis, and Davis in 2003 that was the framework for my study. Many theoretical frameworks have been proposed over the years to explain determinants of technology acceptance, such as the technology acceptance model, the theory of planned behavior, the diffusion of innovation theory, and others. The UTAUT integrated 8 other technology adoption models by incorporating key aspects of them to create a new, more encompassing model. In this figure, performance expectancy is the degree to which an individual believes that using a technology tool will improve their job performance in some way. Effort expectancy is the degree of ease associated with using an educational technology tool. Social influence is how an individual perceives the importance of other people using an educational technology tool. Facilitating conditions is defined by variances in individual belief that there is a support mechanism available to them for use of a tool. Behavioral intention is the likelihood of someone to use a technology, and usage behavior refers to the actual use of technology. My research questions were, what are the relationships between performance expectancy, effort expectancy, social influence, and facilitating conditions? Going forward, I'll just refer to these as the main constructs. And medical school faculty members' behavioral intention to use educational technology in IBL. And then the second one was, what are the relationships between these main constructs and their actual use of educational technology? My third research question was, do age, gender, experience, and voluntariness of use moderate the relationships between the main constructs and medical school faculty members' behavioral intention to use educational technology? And then the final one was essentially the same, focusing on actual use of educational technology. In previous studies, including one where UTAUT was developed, performance expectancy, effort expectancy, social influence directly determine intention to use technology, or behavioral intention. Behavioral intention and facilitating conditions directly determine actual usage behavior. Moderating variables that can affect these main constructs include the ones I've mentioned, and the authors of the framework felt that the UTAUT could help to better understand what drives technology acceptance in order to make proactive interventions. In my study, performance expectancy represented the medical educators' belief that their use of educational technology in IBL activities will help achieve gains in content delivery. Effort expectancy represented the medical educator's belief about the ease of use of educational technology in IBL activities. Social influence represented the medical educator's perceptions of how others believe he or she should use educational technology in IBL activities. Facilitating conditions represented the medical educator's belief regarding the level of technical support that is available to them. Behavioral intention represented the medical educator's intention to use educational technology in IBL activities. And finally, usage behavior represented the medical educator's actual use of these technologies. So as I mentioned earlier, there are familiar and ubiquitous types of educational technology that include personal computers, navigation devices, smartphones, Apple TV, Roku. For many of these tools, they've become so second nature and ubiquitous that people do not always consider them when asked about their technology use. In many places, faculty have also been advised to avoid the quote-unquote shiny thing effect. There are also generational issues and digital divide to consider. Some characteristics of learners across generations include Generation Z, or the I generation, which is 1994 to present. These people are considered true digital natives, demand convenience and immediacy, have a limited attention span, and they are accustomed to interacting solely in the digital world. For earlier generations, this is not necessarily their experience. The original UTAUT researchers theorized that the characteristics of collaborative technology, along with the characteristics of individuals and groups, were some of the predictors of the main constructs. My study used a cross-sectional survey in order to collect data to make inferences about the population of interest at one point in time and to measure multiple variables at one point in time. IRB approval was obtained prior to the deployment of the survey instrument. My survey was developed and modified based on the original author's research studies. The survey instrument was open for about 3 weeks in October 2019. A correlational research design was used to measure associations or relationships between 2 or more variables. The strength of the relationship between the independent variables of the main constructs and the dependent variables of behavioral intention and actual usage behavior were analyzed using Pearson product moment correlations and Spearman rank or order correlations. The survey instrument included a section to collect demographic information from participants such as age, gender, educational level, years of experience with educational technologies, and level of perceived voluntariness of use of educational technologies. There were 55 items in this survey. It consisted of 4 broad categories: demographic information, experience or employment information, the main constructs, and then behavioral intention and actual use. The first question in the survey asked whether the potential participant had delivered IBL activities within the previous 5 years, which helped to weed out respondents to focus on those with more recent experience. The demographics section examined such variables as age, gender, degrees, years of teaching, academic rank, and clinical experience. A 5-point Likert scale was used to measure each item in the UTAUT, ranging from 1, strongly disagree, to 5, strongly agree. 3 questions for effort expectancy were negatively worded, so during the data analysis, these questions were reverse coded. To locate appropriate subjects, I relied on virtual communities of practice that used listservs, such as Dr. Ed, which is for medical educators, Team-Based Learning Collaborative, and EDGECause. A multiple regression a priori power analysis was calculated using an alpha level of 0.05, power of 0.80, with a maximum of 4 predictors. To detect a medium effect size, a minimum of 85 participants was needed. Here are just a few examples of the questions from my survey instrument. Here are a few more examples of my questions from my survey instrument. Here are a few more examples of questions from my survey instrument. Multiple linear correlation analysis was used to assess if independent variables predict the dependent variables. For research questions 1 and 2, bivariate correlations examined between independent and correlation variables. Research questions 1 and 2, bivariate correlations examined between independent and dependent variables. It asked about the relationship among the 4 constructs and behavioral intention usage behavior. Correlational coefficients were utilized. For research questions 3 and 4, same with added interaction terms. Multiple regression was used to analyze this data. Some general findings: the age of respondents was primarily between 41 and 60 years old. There were more people with a doctoral degree than MD who replied to the survey, and the bulk of teaching experience among respondents was between 16 and 35 years. So, research question 1, the constructs of performance expectancy, effort expectancy, and social influence show significant, while facilitating conditions did not show. And this is typically the case according to past research. For research question 2, the construct of effort expectancy shows significance. Past research also shows this is typically the case. For research question 3, past research shows significant interaction effects for gender and voluntariness of use with performance expectancy, and this outcome aligns with previous studies. In previous studies, effort expectancy had no significant interaction effect with any of the moderating variables, and this is the same with this study. Social influence, facilitating conditions, and moderating variables or interaction terms had similar results as previous studies, and the same with research question 4. Some implications of the findings. Gender showed a significant effect on the relationships of performance expectancy, facilitating conditions, and behavioral intention. Further investigation by administrators might uncover a belief system impacted by gender. Voluntariness of use of technology is integral on faculty expectations and intention. The more faculty feel their use of technology is voluntary as opposed to required impacts intention and actual use. Some additional questions that came out of this study. What interventions need to happen to better support faculty? And do faculty bow to peer pressure? Future studies can expand on this study to delve deeper into linkages between age and behavioral intention, etc., to determine how to better support faculty. As for future plans, I plan on doing a follow-up to this study during COVID to determine the differences in intention and actual usage behavior from pre-COVID. And here are some references. There's 3 slides of references. Thank you.